I just did a season in Austria as a ski instructor, and I'm here to tell you everything I learned. I'm gonna answer all the questions I had before I went down to work myself. The first one is language. If you want to work in Europe, the main places would be Italy, Austria, and France. I would recommend to know at least a few words. I went to Austria because I do know a little bit of German, so I knew how to say, make a turn, let's go and have lunch. So you don't need to know a lot. Austrians and Germans in general are really good in English, so I could get by. In Italy, it would be maybe a bit more of a struggle. In France, I would just recommend you to know French. Be smart with the places you choose. I went to a ski school that had more English-speaking people. My customers would most likely speak English, or at least know that they would have an English instructor. The next one would be customers. How do you get them? Are you responsible for it, or is it a ski school? A few ski schools tell you that, hey, you have to get your customers yourself. Most likely, they will provide you with customers. So I applied to 2 different ski schools. Both had different kind of approach to customers. The first ski school told me that I would only have 1 customer each day. They could choose between 1 till 6 hours of skiing. I would get paid the same. The other ski school told me, hey, you will have different customers, but you would definitely work by the hour, which means if I had only 1 customer for 1 hour, I would only get paid for 1 hour. That's usually how it's set up, and then you have to kind of choose if you like one way or another way. I went with the one where you get paid for each hour. Let's say you chose your ski school and you're ready to get down and you're already there and you're just standing like, hey, am I getting any training? So, talking from experience, I went through the slopes that I could take my customers on 1 time, and then I had to shadow someone 2 times. On my 3rd day, I was already teaching someone. I did not know the slopes, nor the area. I was just winging it. From what I've understood, that is very common within the ski industry, but I did have some free time in between, so I could get to know the mountain myself, which was helpful, but again, there's not much training. You kind of just put into it and you're like, yeah, go for it. Then we have one which is really important, but maybe a bit boring for some people, and that is insurance. So of course you would have travel insurance. But what if one of the kids that you're teaching is just like flying out and then breaks his skis? Or if you're skiing with someone that's a bit too confident and go way too fast and break his leg? Are you in trouble? The ski school? Who's really in charge? The ski school should, and definitely always ask, have insurance. If something happens during your lesson, it's not your fault, nor can you get sued, it's the ski school. The only thing, super duper important thing, is that you should never touch anyone's binding. So one of my ladies that I was training, her snowboard binding was loose, and she's like, hey, can you fix it? And I told her no, because as soon as you touch that binding, you're responsible for everything that happens after it. Just tell them, hey, let's go to the ski rental place and they'll fix it for you. You just don't want to be in charge of that binding if it pops off or something happens. So please just don't touch the binding. Get it? Yeah? Don't touch it. Being a ski instructor is not something you do to become rich, but it's something you do because it's an experience. Working as a ski instructor on the lowest level, that meaning Antwerper, which I am, you can expect a salary between 10 euros an hour up until maybe 17 euros an hour after tax if you're really lucky. I had 12 euros an hour, which isn't really too bad, nor is it really that good. Some ski schools, as I mentioned before, they pay you for every hour you work, whereas some other ski schools pay you for the day. So it doesn't matter how many hours. Since we're talking about salary, we can jump over to the living situation. You would most likely get accommodation from the ski school you're working with, but you do have to pay for it. Usually the rent is 10 euros a day up till 15 euros a day. It depends on where you are, what kind of house you're staying in. You can definitely expect to be sleeping in the same room as someone else. Very, very normal. If you have your own room, you're really privileged. Most ski schools would just take the rent out of your salary. So when you get your final salary, the rent is covered already. Very convenient. It's so easy. When it comes to equipment, I would always recommend people to bring a helmet and goggles, because that's not something you can usually rent. Where I worked as a ski instructor, we could rent everything for free, even cross-country skis, which was so freaking cool. This is not something you can expect everywhere. If you work as a ski instructor for, let's say, 3 months and you have to rent skis, that's going to be a lot of money, even though you're getting discounts and all of that. From the ski school, you'll get ski pass and ski clothing, so you don't have to worry about that at all. Then we have working hours. We work 6 out of 7 days, usually. It's very common to only have one day off, so that you can expect. You start your day around 9 o'clock and then you finish around 4, sometimes 2. It's always an early start. I love that though, because the slopes are so amazing in the mornings. Since we're talking about working hours, I just quickly need to say that you can have different kind of work when you work as a ski instructor. So you can either do groups and private lessons, which I think are really much fun. It's a bit more work because you need to have personalized feedback, you need to get to know them much more. Or you can work with kids, and you can have up to 12 kids in one group all alone. So that could be a bit hectic, whereas with private ones, you wouldn't get more than 8. So there is a difference. I absolutely loved being a ski instructor, the freedom, the vibes, the people are so nice. It's a cool way to learn how to explain things in a different language, so it gives you a lot. Some people work up to 5 months, whereas I only work for 1 month. That's enough for me. Maybe next season I want to do 2 or 3 weeks, so you don't have to stay there for super long. I hope this summed up a few of the questions you might have, and if you have any more, leave a comment. Bye for now.